Good morning. Welcome to the House of Europe here in Malta. At the representation, we're extremely glad, happy, and privileged to have all of you here for this event, InvestEU Roadshow in Malta. For those of you a little bit less familiar with InvestEU, it's an instrument that was set up by the European Commission working together with the European Investment Bank under the previous president of the Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, which is now carried on into the new tenure of the Commission. So hopefully today, in rather dramatic economic circumstances, when we're feeling the pressure, geopolitical pressure, the pressure on prices, inflation, energy supplies, I hope that we can have a very good interchange event, because in the economy we still will need to connect projects and money. And InvestEU does exactly that. It connects projects and money for a green, digital, and of course fair economy. My name is Marin. I'm the new economic advisor here at the representation in Malta. I'm very happy again to welcome all of you. We're very honored and privileged to have Minister Silvio Schembri, the Minister for Economy, EU Funds and Lands, here with us. I think for the Maltese audience, the Minister does not need any introductions, but I was particularly intrigued that he was spearheading and cheering Malta's artificial intelligence strategy, as well as the blockchain strategy. So, Minister, it's always a pleasure to have you here at the Europe House. You'll be the first next speaker, followed by Gilles, the EIB Director of Operations, and then from the Commission side, Antongiulio, Marin, the Head of Unit for InvestEU implementation of the European Commission. Mr. Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and good morning to all the distinguished guests. I'll try not to take too long, because obviously it's the 9 o'clock in the morning and it will be very difficult to digest long messages. So good morning to all, and welcome to Malta also for another stopover of the InvestEU Roadshow journey. Following is already mentioned, we have presented adverse effects of the global economy, also caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, and more recently, the political instability in the UK and Russia situation. We believe that the InvestEU program is a very important tool, also an important instrument towards delivering of a fair and sustainable recovery for the European Union economy. However, the road ahead of us is not without its challenges, and since major upheavals arising from the global situations are continuously escalating. In this scenario, Malta will aim to target the mechanisms related especially to SMEs and their support, which obviously is one of the representatives who continuously mentioned the fact that to look when speaking about EU funds and other EU instruments, pay particular attention to our SMEs. Our SMEs represent the backbone of our economy, and every time we speak about funding and about the situation of how to assist our economy, and without any doubt, SMEs are the central part of our station. They represent more than 90% of our economy, and time and again it was proven that the model of SMEs, the model of the family business, has proved, even in recent current challenges, that it is a model that works, it is a robust model, it is a model that can stand the test of time. And that is why we are looking at these instruments to also facilitate as much as possible access to finance or service, which is very, and it is still relevant, and there is still appetite for it in the market. Over the past few years, we have strived to bolster the financing of projects which deals with sustainable energy, and have launched numerous initiatives in this regard, have then provided tangible aid which encourages also digital connectivity. The digitalization of industry laid the groundwork also in other initiatives. You also mentioned the fact that we have been leading as a country in terms of providing the legislative frameworks for artificial intelligence, blockchain, and other emerging technologies, as well as lay the foundation for the circular economy to succeed. However, it would be grossly negligent discussing the InvestEU program here in Malta, we do not assess, as already been mentioned, the value of SMEs that represents our country's economy. We have recognized early on that to fully support SMEs is to support a robust economy. This is the gold standard which we have strived to adhere, and one through which we have managed to sustain the livelihood of several families despite shocks sustained by recent events. Here too, as a government, we have not only sought to instill peace of mind within our business community during such adverse circumstances, but have worked also hard and planned for a strong and rapid recovery. We have put in place our schemes and initiatives which encourage innovation as well as robustly assist in diversification and growth of our SMEs, including facilitating access to finance, a number of grant schemes which assist enterprises to speed up their digital transformation and also make their operations more efficient and resilient. It is perhaps due to our size, but it is also quite great to note that at the heart of our business community lie our valuable family businesses. Businesses which have thrived and prospered for generations. And as a government, we have strived to ensure that these continue to grow and flourish and sustain their precious legacy from one generation to the next. Which is why, in recent years, we have sought to offer strong initiatives, including a hefty reduction in stamp duty, through which family businesses have saved €23 million in the past 3 years. A vital measure, which we have also now extended for another year. This is the level of importance the government attaches to family businesses by providing a multitude of aid schemes, including Microinvest, the Family Business Advisor Scheme, which here deals with providing transfer, structuring, and succession, the transfer scheme, as well as other training-related schemes which are so significant for the constant regeneration of family-owned businesses. Ultimately, I believe that in today's commercial environment, considering the public health challenges we had until recently and the geopolitical ones that we are still experiencing, it has come and become crucial that our enterprises become more resilient and build solid foundations for future investment. Even here, we are speaking with the help and assistance of European funds. Throughout the pandemic and beyond, Malta has been described as a success story. However, we must continue to utilize and adopt everything we have learned during the past experiences. We must look ahead and together, our European peers continue to work hand in hand towards a full and equitable recovery and the ultimate well-being for all our European Union member states to succeed. Thank you very much, and I wish you also a fruitful discussion ahead for today's event.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. We now have on the floor Badot, the EIB Director for Operations. Thank you.
Good morning. Minister, the European Commission representation here in Malta, distinguished participants, dear colleagues. I'm delighted to be here today to address you about the InvestEU Malta events, roadshow events, jointly with the EU representation in Malta and the EU Bank. We are pleased to welcome you because we think that it's an essential discussion on investment and financial instruments available for Malta, but as well for Europe as a whole. It's good news for Europe to have Europe interested in identifying policies of general interest and deploying its financial firepower to address the multiple challenges that we are facing. It's good news to have a financial instrument to mitigate the economic crisis generated first by the outbreak of the pandemic, but now with the war in Ukraine, and to invest in the future, and more specifically to a greener and a more visible future. InvestEU has been designed towards these goals. We at the EIB, we are very proud to be part of the European response, and we believe that our unique position offers opportunities to address these crises. Because of our financial firepower, because of our expertise, but also because we are the bank of the EU. We call ourselves the EU bank. From the start of operations in Malta in 1979 until now, the EIB Group has provided already financing and guarantee instruments for almost 1 billion euros. Most of them quite visible and with a tangible and positive impact on the day-to-day life of the Maltese citizens. I'm referring to the investments in Valletta's architectural heritage, the revitalized city prestige and cultural attractions, including an iconic new parliament building in Valletta and the new city gates and the old opera house that was built during the Second World War, which has been restored and is now most recently, the EIB has supported the development of affordable housing, and thanks to the fruitful collaboration with the Malta Development Bank, we are now supporting SMEs in Malta, thanks to a 50 million euro loan that was granted to MBB, that has been increased by 10 million euro to also face the difficulties linked with the COVID crisis. Now let's talk a bit about InvestEU. InvestEU has been designed as a key pillar in the European Union to recover from the COVID pandemic and to build a greener and more digital and more resilient European economy. All this started with the Investment Plan for Europe, the Juncker Plan, and InvestEU is pursuing the efforts that we have started. InvestEU is designed to address the global financial crisis and bring together under one roof the European Fund for Strategic Investment, as well as 13 other financial instruments such as COSME or Innovate. So, through InvestEU, with the European Commission, we hope to make EU funding simpler to access and more effective. Thanks to this guarantee provided by the European Commission, we intend to support public and private investments in key EU policy areas along 4 policy windows. The first one is linked to sustainable infrastructure. Second one is research, innovation, and digitalization. Third one is dedicated to small and medium-sized companies. And the last one, dedicated to social investments and securities. Of course, InvestEU will have also a very strong climate focus, because at least 30% of the investments will go towards climate change, mitigation, or adaptation. Moreover, InvestEU continues to rely on the well-established and successful relationship that the EIB has with the European Commission. As the EU bank, we, the EIB, will implement 75% of the EU budget guarantee and advisory budget under InvestEU. Concretely, the EIB Group deploy InvestEU through various types of products. I mean, of course, the usual product that we have, direct loans, corporate, public sector, but also supporting project finance to GPs, venture debt products, today, for innovative SMEs and startups, portfolio guarantees to financial beneficiaries through the IDET, and equity investments in funds, also through the IDET. InvestEU will focus on operations with a higher risk profile compared to what we do usually. So it will enable us to support and finance more innovative projects and to address market gaps and reduce the risk of third-party investors that alongside us. So that's why we hope it will facilitate also the traveling needs of private capital into key policy areas. InvestEU has also to be fair and will play a key role in just transition mechanism. Because in fact, these transitions that we need to implement need to be just and to have an environmental sustainability, but also an acceptable social impact. So, and maybe we should talk also about the social investments and skills window, which will target projects related for training, social housing, schools, universities, hospitals, services, not only about innovation and green transition, but also supporting the society, vulnerable people, refugees, and immigrants. This echoes strongly with the dramatic circumstances and the current situation experimented by many countries facing the influx of refugees from Ukraine. Now, a few words also on the advisory, because I mean, advisory will be a key element of this InvestEU. We've got within InvestEU a component that is called InvestEU Advisory Hub. The idea sees the provision of advisory services through the support of project preparation, knowledge sharing, capacity building as a key enabler for quality projects. The previous joint advisory programs have been successful in Malta, engaged in several advisory assignments delivered by the EIB. The EIB and the European Commission will cooperate in providing technical, financial, and strategic advisory support to public and private promoters, regional and national authorities, and financial intermediaries under InvestEU government. With a large part of the advisory offer will continue to support project preparation and implementation. Services related to financial advisory will be included. So, just let me quote some of the initiatives that we have under a single roof under InvestEU advisory hub. We've got Elena that is here to support energy efficiency and that is targeting municipal transport and support of municipal and public authorities. EIB, that is dedicated to municipal and circular economy projects. ADAPT, that is our climate action adaptation initiative that is available for public and private sector promoters. So you see that we've got a large range of advisory instruments that will support also our activity through this. It will complement the JASPERS that has been initiated that has been quite successful in the absorption of the EU funds, but also the European Expertise Center called EFEC that was there to help public authorities to implement public partnership contracts, and also FICOMPAS that is there to support the implementation of financial systems. In conclusion, in the following announcements, we will discuss concrete ways in which InvestEU could benefit from public as well as the private sector in Malta. And personally, I strongly believe that this new partnership with the European Commission, building on the EIB Group strength in terms of financing and advisory, will contribute to building a greener, stronger, and more innovative Maltese economy and Europe. I wish you a pleasant and quality day. Thank you.
Now the turn of Antongiulio Marin, Head of Unit for InvestEU implementation from the European Commission, who will give a keynote speech, and then you can take the floor to give the EU presentation.
Many thanks for inviting me to the Investor Roadshow Malta, together with the Minister of Economy, Youth Funds, and Adriatic, and my good colleague The InvestEU program represents our joint achievement, a new economic opportunity for company, financial intermediary, and SME in Malta, brought to you by the European Union. Investment represents the backbone of the Union economy. Stable and growing investment, especially private investment, are key to the recovery and growth of the European economy. Ever since the first weeks of the pandemic, more than 2 years ago, the EU and the national government have delivered strong and coherent policy support to our economies, helping to sustain a swift recovery. Today, our common priority remains focused on investment and reforms. As a universal instrument supporting private investment, InvestEU provides a flexible policy and financial tool, along with other instruments, including the Recovery and Resilience Facility, most notably, and to support member state recovery. Unfortunately, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has undoubtedly put Europe into extraordinary economic uncertainty. This has resulted in an energy supply disruption, significantly higher price for energy, raw material, commodity, and food, and is hurting consumer and business. We are looking to sustain European economic recovery from the COVID, but at the same time, fast track the phase out of the EU dependence of Russian energy. For the EU 27, in the Commission Summer Interim Forecast, ECFIN is publishing every spring, the projection has been revised lower for GDP growth and higher for inflation, compared with those previous forecasts. Several indicators are now pointing to very weak momentum in the second half of the year, and there is a risk of recession. And a further cut in gas supply, which is happening in the same day from Russia, and evidence of broadening price pressure also point to possible higher and more persistent inflation. Looking at the Maltese situation, and those are the same projection of the Commission, save to all uncertainty in forecasting, in 2022, the Maltese economy performed quite well. Maltese real GDP is expected to still grow to 4.9%, which is higher than projected in April. This is due to an anticipated strong service sector, although this is tempered by a negative impact of Russian invasion of Ukraine. It is also expected to be driven by domestic consumption and net exports. In 2023, this is quite a long future, real GDP is forecast to increase at a slower pace, but still by 3.8%, which is remarkable. Affected by a general economic slowdown, although of its many trade partners, of course, of Malta. But it's also partially compensated by the continued growth of the tourism sector and other services for export. This being said, Malta has faced a strong increase in inflation. In the first half of 2022, the indirect impact of higher international energy and commodity price, despite the government incentive for limiting the energy price growth, inflation is set to rise at 5.6% in 2022. In 2023, inflation is expected to remain at 3.3%. Within this context, Malta will receive around 260 million in grants under the Recovery and Resilience Facility over the period 2021-2026. The recovery plan of Malta is ambitious and aims to address long-standing challenges identified in the area of climate and digital transition, as the Minister described, health, employment, education and skills, social policy, justice, and the fight against corruption and money laundering. Currently, more than half of the plan is support climate and environment objectives, and the the quarter of the plan will foster the digital transition. Coming to the impact of gas and the energy crisis, REPowerEU and InvestEU. The question is, how does InvestEU program come into display in the current macroeconomic and policy context I just described? When InvestEU was approved 2 years ago, it was intended to mainly help the economic recovery after the COVID crisis. We do believe this objective remains valid. But the latest uncertainty provoked by Russia's senseless war against Ukraine confirms the need for sustaining the resilience of the European economy to phase out of our strategic dependence on economic resources, in particular Russian energy, well before 2020. So a call for acceleration in our Green Deal. As the most recent events show, we need to put an end to this dependence much faster than we had foreseen before this war. With the adoption of the Power Action Plan, the Commission has proposed a clear way forward for phase out from Russian energy. The Power Action Plan will rapidly reduce our dependence on Russian fossil fuel, but fast forwarding the clean energy transition and adapting our industry and infrastructure to different energy source and supply. This will come with some cost. Additional investment of 210 billion euros are needed between now and 2027 to phase out Russian fossil fuel imports. But of course, there are also economic benefits. By displacing Russian energy imports, which are currently costing European taxpayers nearly 100 billion euro per year, we will invest in the European economy and clean energy generation in Europe through sustainable production of biomethane, production of renewable hydrogen, more photovoltaic panels on European roofs, increasing the number of heat pumps, offshore wind capacity, a technology which is very relevant for Malta, as well as large-scale solar projects. Coming to the sustained funding of the Commission to this transition, the Recovery and Resilience Facility is the heart of the REPower Plan implementation, providing additional EU funding. Member States will be able to make the necessary effort and channel investment to REPower Europe priority as part of the Recovery and Resilience Plan. We look forward for the good cooperation and discussion regarding with Malta the finalization of the operational arrangement and the subsequent first payment request of Malta. Further support for energy diversification and clean energy transition is also available from cohesion policy funds, the Connect Euro facility, and as well the innovation. Now, the bulk of investment, of course, cannot come only from public resources, and we need to mobilize also private sources. And this is where the InvestEU comes in the picture. This is where the InvestEU program and the European Investment Bank and our other implementing partner can play in part. Our main objective, as Gilles has been mentioned, under the InvestEU program is to attract private capital, and the target is to mobilize at least 370 billion euro in additional investment. I will give you in a minute a more detailed presentation of InvestEU with a few slides, which perhaps can impress some concepts and some figures. But I would like to also close my initial and introductory speech with the good news. The InvestEU is up and running. We have signed a guarantee agreement with the European Investment Bank Group in spring. And up to now, the investment committee, which is an independent investment committee, has approved around 50 operations. And many of those operations are focusing on green transition. And they are also covering the support to SMEs, which are at the core of the Maltese economy, and social investment. I expect many more, of course, investment projects in the coming months, and benefiting from the coverage of the EU budget guarantee. And I'm looking forward to a successful implementation of the InvestEU program in Malta. So I wish you all interesting exchange during this roadshow that I do today, and I'm really ready to wrap up the presentation and come to a more detailed slides show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marin. Yes, we can now start with the presentation about the institutional presentation of the InvestEU program. And it's already here. So,
Yes, it's here. Repetita Hubert, you would repeat some of the concepts that have been already described, but I hope that a number of slides can impress you, of course, you can take home, can impress you a number of figures and build on it. You will have then a more detailed presentation of the colleagues of the European Investment Bank on individual products. So, as we mentioned, InvestEU built on a legacy program. The legacy program is the so-called Juncker plan, European Fund for Strategic Investment. It's important to look back a few years ago to see what actually has been the achievement of the legacy program, which is very similar in certain aspects to InvestEU, and other aspects InvestEU has been developing for the new idea. So the European Fund for Strategic Investment was also the budgetary guarantee of the period, and overall the achievement over the period, the MFF period, was a 500 billion of investment. I was speaking about operation. I referred to the fact that under InvestEU we had 50 operations already approved. In 5 years, under the FC, we had 700. And what is most important is for the specific situation of Malta, 800 deals or investment fund for SME. We had an assessment with the European Investment Bank, which were implemented the FC, and but this represents 1.5 billion of SME, which over the 5 years, and of course driven down on the recording periods and the benefit for the FC. So I would, of course, the Commission, the Member State, build on this as positive experience to design the InvestEU in the current period, but still focusing on the European Fund for Strategic Investment in Malta. And this is the figures as of March 2022, so quite recent. The total financing under the European Fund for Strategic Investment in Malta amount of 44 million, and this is set to trigger 211 million in additional investment. The FC was focusing, as I say, on infrastructure and innovation and SME. As for the infrastructure part, there were 2 approved projects financed by the European Investment Bank, of approximately 32 million in total financing, 71 million in total investment. 2 approved agreements for SME with intermediaries bank were also supported by the FC. Here we speak about 11 million of total financing to trigger about 138 million in investment. We estimate that about 430 SMEs mortgage cap will benefit from this scheme. Zooming down to a number of operations that has been approved on the FC in Malta. I think it's interesting to refer to those 3. These are of course, illustrative examples of other situations. We were referring to digitalization. So, an interesting project is the group. 28 million flow from the European Investment Bank under the FC to those projects to develop fiber and their own network. This is interesting, and we see a project which actually helped to high-speed broadband to thousands of homes across the country. I have another example, the ST microelectronics. This is a research equation, and it's about the next generation of semiconductors, particularly the smart lighting of these devices. Finally, this is of course an intermediate product. PIF has assigned a guarantee to APS Bank, and this is will trigger down to support SME. So, building on this legacy, Member States, Parliament, and the Commission have decided to develop a new program for the period 2017 up to 2027. I mean, this is the InvestEU. The InvestEU will build as well, like FC, on 3 pillars. Of course, the fund, which is the guarantee provided to the investment bank and all the implementing partners. We do have a strong advisory pillar. And finally, we also have continued into a third pillar, which is a portal. And I will describe later on what actually the portal is. But this is also building on a positive experience under the new plan. Starting from the fund. The fund has bring together a number of legacy products which were existing, including the European Fund for Strategic Investment, but also other products like the Continent, Innovate, into one budgetary guarantee. So it's an effort of simplification and streamlining different budgetary lines. The amount of the guarantee is 26 billion. It's important to understand that it's demand-driven, so there is no geographical quota like other program has. The program provides financing, so loan, guarantee, and equity, and it does not provide grants. Although at the level of project, of course, grant can be combined with the financing of the InvestEU. We have a target in terms of development of 370 billion, and this is about particular private investment. European Investment Bank Group, EIB and EIF, is our main partner. 75% of the guarantees are located to the European Investment Group. We are also working with, and we are on the close to sign guarantee agreement with the national commercial banks, and as well as international financial institutions like the EIB and the Council of Europe Bank, which by the way operate in Malta. The governance of InvestEU is based on independent investment committees play a central role in the governance of InvestEU and ensure that the independence. The investment committee approved operation of the independent partners. So far, as I mentioned earlier, we have 50 operations already approved by the investment committee from March to July. We will have a new investment committee mid-September, and we will have an increase of the number of operations approved. This represents a quite significant amount in terms of budget approval, and this is already quite successful. How the InvestEU scheme is structured. The budgetary guarantee is provided to the implementing partners. As I say, 75% of the budget guarantee go to the European Investment Bank and the European Investment Funds, 25% to national commercial bank and international financial institutions. There are two ways the budgetary guarantee and implementing partner finance the real economy. One is indirect lending, typically the European Investment Bank finance indirect lending, and can also be intermediation. And the other option, which is interesting when we are looking at supporting SME, for example, is support to financial intermediaries. So EIF extend guarantee to commercial banks, for example, and those commercial banks at the end provide financing to SME and small accounts. That's an intermediate way of financing. On the bottom part of the slide, you can see that there is also possibility to beef up the guarantee of InvestEU, so our financial power, of course. And this is, can be out of a contribution from member states. Member states can use both the share management funds for it, but can also use the RRF to contribute to the InvestEU guarantee. There is also the possibility from other union programs, and this is happening, to top up specific products of InvestEU. It is happening now, for example, with innovation funds, which is topping up specific product proved successful of InvestEU. Other programs of the union, in particular in the area of digitalization, the Digital for Europe program is also topping up product of InvestEU, for example, for cybersecurity. So this is important in this respect that the EIB keep developing products which are following the development of the market, because those products can get additional contributions. As I say, that's quite a substantial difference between the Juncker plan and the InvestEU. The InvestEU is considered as a policy-driven program. So it is organized across 4 policy windows, which has been designed with different policy. The energy group has been contributed quite substantially to the design of sustainable infrastructure. Our colleague DG of course, DG Research has contributed, and Connect has contributed to the research, innovation, digitalization window. Quite new as compared to the Juncker plan. We have a quite important and strong social focus. We do have a window for social investment still. And of course, was the case also under the Juncker plan, again, strong support to SME through an SME window, where our colleague of DG Group, for example, are quite core in the design. Each window got an allocation of the guarantee. And as I say earlier, there is of course the link to the recovery and the resilience facility. There is the possibility that the member states decide to use part of the recovery and resilience facility and channel this for through the InvestEU. This is of course an opportunity InvestEU can give off-the-shelf products ready to go and implement in those member states. This is precisely the use of the member state compartments. So far I have described the Union compartments. There is also a member state compartment, and the member state compartment gives this possibility. So far, Romania has decided to allocate 500 million, which is quite substantial, to InvestEU. The fund of Romania came from the recovery plan, and those 500 million will be charged to InvestEU and be used by the European Investment Fund, so European Investment Fund, and as well as the EIB. So those 500 million will go to a product, a guarantee product to SME and sustainable deals in Romania, of course. The fund allocated by the member state remain within the member state, so the investment remain within the member state. We are now this week also signing a contribution agreement with Finland, with Czech Republic and with Greece. So those are the 3 other member states which have already agreed to sign contribution agreements to InvestEU. Overall, we are already speaking about an extra billion, which comes on the top of what I mentioned earlier of InvestEU guarantee. So it's quite a substantial addition in terms of capacity to finance within those member states. Fundamental, that's the experience of the experience the Commission and the EIB in the past. Project preparation. So the pipeline of project will be prepared, and depending on the typology of project, in operation between, for example, infrastructure, the preparation can be quite long. You can need a number of years to prepare good project, for example, project finance. Still, even looking at the SME, advisory is also important. SME will need to get used to terms and conditions of those products which are quite complex. And for example, SME in greening, they will need to get used to reporting obligation. So advisory is quite important, and advisory can even be extended to intermediaries. We have so far a strong pillar in terms of advisory, and also the advisory part of the InvestEU is organized by policy priority. So under the sustainable infrastructure window, research, innovation, and digitalization, social investment scheme, and so. EIB again is one of our key advisory partners, I would say. And as I say, advisory can go into project advisory, precise project design, but it can also be capacity building upstream, and it can also be market development. So all this package I think is being offered and is up and running. We do have advisory agreements signed with the European Investment Bank. And we do also have so far with a number of national promotional banks, which are also get access to the advisory project. CDP, I think that's already an advisory agreement. We also work with BPI and CFO. And finally, the third pillar. There is, of course, a number of companies which have innovative idea and innovative business case, which might need to get access from directly from the EIB. This can get through the funds. There is also a company that would like to get straightforward to the market and get their business case visible. And there is this possibility. So a company which is good business case, which want to attract, of course, private capital, can get advertised in the investing portal. It is particularly interesting for small companies, of course, which do not have in the global market or in the European market the capacity to promote themselves so visibly. So I think this is also an interesting opportunity for Malta. So the way it works is, of course, those companies apply to the European Commission. The European Commission organize the setting of the portal and make those initiatives visible to the European markets. So I think it's an interesting opportunity for getting the business advertised using this portal. I believe that this closes my short presentation, and I'm sure the slides will be made available to the audience.
Your presentations will be uploaded tomorrow on the EIB.org website and will be available for everyone to check.
Thank you. And of course, I remain available to any question sitting in Luxembourg and Brussels.
Thank you, Mr. Marin. It's still early morning, so we have a coffee break now, and then we can go ahead with the EIB Group presentation. Thank you. Thank you for being here. We are now ready to start with the EIB Group presentation. The first one will be Ferran MINGUELLA, EIB Head of Unit for Corporate Lending. We'll give a presentation about the EIB general products.
Bonjour, for those that are not fluent in Maltese, I'm saying good morning and welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. It's already several years I'm coming to Malta. I would say 8 years. I see some familiar faces. We've been together with my team covering banking initiatives like the SME initiative and corporate financing in the country, and under InvestEU we hope to continue this good work we have developed over these years. Currently, I'm heading the corporate team that covers Malta, Italy, Croatia, and Slovenia, and what I will present is the product under InvestEU that we will be offering in Malta. The product, it's not an innovative product in the sense that that's what we have been implementing in Malta over the last years. However, as it was said this morning, under InvestEU, the target is that we will be able to take further risks, maybe that will be translated in longer maturities, maybe in more riskier counterparts that we can finance. So we will decide on a case by case where we can bring up the value of InvestEU. So what do we offer? It's the corporate team, we offer bilateral loans that will be utilized for investments that are aligned to the InvestEU. InvestEU, we had this presentation today by the Commission. There are different windows. When we move to the corporate area, we focus mainly on the innovation, research, and digitalization window. This is the private initiative that we are mainly operating, I would say, up to 90%. And there is also a strong focus on green. So this is the two components that we will be looking at. The type of clients that we are targeting is large corporates, and then we move down to mid-caps or SMEs that have large investment processes. So in Malta, I would say that our main clients should be companies that have more than 250 employees, and they're we diversify across sectors. What is eligible? What do we want to finance? So mainly what we finance is research and development. We finance innovative infrastructure, digitalization. So everything that would be, for giving an example of telecommunications, that would boost internet in the island of Malta, be it 5G, be it fiber. This would be eligible investments for us. Of course, these are companies that have an important size in the island, but have also a strong impact on the SMEs that are using this infrastructure. So this is where we put our focus. It's true that we are the European bank. We are located mainly in Luxembourg. We have a limited number of staff covering all these countries. So we really focus on when we identify where we want to step in, we need to understand that there is a strong value added for the country. On this exercise, of course, we also rely a lot on our advisory team, where they would bring to a project from inception to a bankable initiative. So these are the two ways. Sometimes we go directly because we know some of the clients in Malta. Sometimes it's our advisory team that would be helping promoters to bring a project that they would be financing. To give you a bit of an idea on how we identify the projects, basically we would approach a corporate and ask them on their investments over a period of 2, 3, 4 years. These investments can be R&D, they can be related to energy saving, energy efficiency, and out of these different investments, what we have here, so R&D, up to 2022, in this example, this company invested 40 million, in 23, 30, 24, 40, 30 again, and we have an overall project cost of 100 million. One of our criteria is that we will never finance more than 50% of a project cost. In this case, the EIB would be mobilizing 50%, 50 million, and then we fall back to what was said by the Commission. InvestEU is also here to mobilize private money. So the other 50%, we expect the commercial banks. I saw that some of the banks are here today, so we'll be topping up our financing, or maybe it will be business angels, or you could have the own funds of the corporate to utilize for that happen. Of course, I wanted to highlight this top line, our lending or our loans go mainly from 20 up to 500 million. This means that we need a project that is around 40 million. In Malta, we in the past went a bit lower because we know that there is difficulty to find this type of big investments. So we've done a bit below 20 million also. But this is a bit the limitation we have. Over the years, we've been successful in finding, so we've been financing in Malta Grow, it was mentioned before, under the Juncker plan. Today we presented a facility where we were financing EPIC. Our role is also to support all the players. We are public funds, so we don't, in this case, in telecommunications sector, any company approaches us, be it Valletta, be it EPIC, be it Go, we will look at it and we'll see what we can do. We will see the utilities, we will see that all the criteria, EIB criteria are active, and then we will move forward with the financing. And the money arrives, and actually that's a successful story in Malta. Here I will explain a bit how we identify the project, 50% rule. Now, the amount is 50% of the project cost, but it's also depending on the credit capacity of the counterpart. Of course, we do an analysis of the counterpart balance sheet, and then we assess until where we can arrive with our maturity, with our amount. But this is why kicking in with InvestEU, that we have a guarantee behind, it enables us to do a little bit more. And maybe the other point that I wanted to highlight is the last one on the EIB loan, that we can cover multiple EU countries. We need to get to this amount. Sometimes we don't manage. We wanted to finance sensitive microeconomics directly in Malta, but the investments were not enough. So what we did a multi-country facility that is financing SMEs, grants in Italy and in Malta. That was how we approached it. And just a flavor of how we appraise our projects. I would say that the main part is step one, where we sit down with the promoters, ask for advisory, and we identify which are the costs that are aligned with the EU policy, with InvestEU, and with the EIB criteria. Once we have done that, I will check that the financial, economic, social, and environmental and technical solutions are in line with best practices on that sector. Then we move forward. So again, if every go comes with investments on 3G, I would say, okay, it's very nice, but that's not what the market is doing. So we need to do a step up. So we do these checks. I mean, we don't see all. It's an infrastructure that will not be utilized. We will step out, and the economics will not be there. And at the end of the day, it's the people from the country that will be ending paying this infrastructure. So we do make these checks. We go to our approval process. In this case, for InvestEU, we have the investment committee, was mentioned by the Commission. So the Commission is overseeing that all I will going to do is align to the policy. We sign the contract, and then we discuss the money. There is a monitoring overview of the project that is quite light, because we are not offering grants, it's loans. So we do ask that if you invest in 5G after 2 years in terms of the 20 million I have invested here, I've done this. It's a small reporting, but we do check that it's done, of course. And then the repayment phase, so we get back our money. What we do is that we sit down again with our client after so many years, and we finance them again. That's what we did with the Go, and maybe that's what we will do with that in some years, and maybe that also may come later on. So to highlight again the benefits of working with the EIB, I didn't mention, but of course we are attractive in terms of interest rate, in terms of long maturities. Normally when we finance a client, we enter the balance sheet with a longer maturity on the debt. That's our NDA, so we are not afraid of doing that, but that's also why we do all the checks I mentioned, economic, technical, but also credit. We finance tangible, but also intangible. We focus a lot on corporate on intangible. For research and development, we wanted the knowledge remains within you. In this case, within Malta. We are a bit of a funding diversification. If you look at Go, I think they were financed mainly by local banks, so we give them a step or a seat outside of multi-finance sector, more of international single EU member state on the banking sector. We finance up to 50%, so we count in other investors. And maybe this last slide is presenting a bit. We had an event yesterday. It was covered by the press. I didn't check the newspapers this morning, but I think that there should be something. So we are financing every 5G development, but also the fiber. It's a 20 million facility. They have investments for 43 million over the period of 2021 and 2024. We noticed that Epic, we first financed them in Cyprus, and they were so much satisfied with the EIB experience that they wanted to replicate in Malta. That's what we done. I tried to cover. I will list you here after the presentation if you have questions. Otherwise, my contacts are available. Grazie. Tala. Attenzione.
Thank you, Ferran, also for the Maltese welcoming words. Now the turn of Fabrizio, the Senior Investment Officer, who will give two presentations, one on the Thematic and venture debt and one on project finance.
Hello everyone, glad to be here. I've been here 2017 when I just joined the EIB. So I work in FSC, it's equity new product special transaction, and basically we have two main business. One business is venture debt, so let's say loans on an unsecured basis provided to small cap, and the other business is project financing. Typical project financing with a particular KPI that I will show you afterwards. So for the venture debt, we started in 2015, 14, 16. We had pilot phase under Innofin, and then we started officially under FC, so the Juncker plan, and in 2016. And we provided the venture debt under FC until, let's say, this December. It will lapse officially this December. And last year we also worked on COVID-related mandate, which was AGF, European Guarantee Fund. And since July 2022, when InvestEU was approved 2 years ago, but the program loan within EIB was approved only 2 months ago, we started to look at companies, startups, under the InvestEU mandates. Which is the main difference between the previous FC? First of all, is the guarantee. The guarantee under the InvestEU is covers 60% of the amount provided by before it was 50%, which means that we can take higher risk. And I think also for Malta, under FC, unfortunately, we didn't provide any money to the Malta startups, but under FC, under InvestEU, we would like to focus more on high-risk business. For example, before it was mentioned by the Minister, cybersecurity. We would like to focus our attention on cybersecurity. So maybe this is the main important news on the InvestEU compared to the FC. Just to give you, so we finance startups, but we don't finance early-stage startups. So our view is we need to fill the gap in the market after the Series B, Series C, which means that the company after the Series B, Series C, especially over the last few years, now is like less, has a problem to find a proper funding. So we try to help the existing investors to further fund the startups. And that's why we intervene usually after Series B, Series C, which means that usually we invest in companies who have raised not less than, let's say, 10 million euros on a cumulative basis. So basically what we do, we invest in companies with already a go-to-market strategy very clear, proven technology, so try to basically to leverage the equity of the venture capital provider. Just to give you a big picture of our current portfolio, over the last 5 years we have invested 46% of our money in the biotech and life science, and the other 50% more or less in digital technologies and in the industry 4.0. This is more or less what we have done. This is just a sample of the companies we have invested in. We have invested more or less in all the European 27 countries. Unfortunately, as I told you, we did invest in Malta. We have deployed almost 4 billion and financed more than 155 companies and created 25 plus jobs. So engineers, scientists, programmers, etc. And this is more or less the venture capital, so the first part. So let's say the most risky product that the EIB has. The EIB cannot invest in equity by statute. In fact, we created this product because it's a sort of loan with an equity mindset. Another thing I want to tell you, we ask why we want to have this company, because we want to have a proper governance, also because the remuneration, our target IRR is 15% IRR, but we don't ask for 50% interest. Sometimes we also go for 0% interest, and the remaining part we get warrants. The warrants is an option to convert into shares at a certain time and incorporate this instrument. And the warrant is based on the valuation of the company at maturity when we will have an exit. So if the company will be valued 0, we will have the same risk alongside the venture capital. So this is a way for us to ask less money in terms of remuneration, and let's say we are aligned to the shareholders, and that's why we prefer to have institutional shareholders like this. Of course, we can invest also in private companies, but we need to have a proper governance. Usually, by our experience, the companies without an institutional investor do not have proper governance. So that's why most of the time we consider them not to. This is my contact details. We have a web page, the website. You can Google easily EIB Venture Debt. You can find, or you can go to me directly. And if you have any biotech life science, I can put in contact with my colleagues. Second part of the business is project finance. Let's say project finance. I can give you just a brief explanation. The project finance is financing ring-fence in SPV, so the special purpose vehicle, and basically our capital is only on the project. So we rely on the cash flows, and we get guarantees only from the SPV. It could be real estate asset, working capital, etc. And the investors, promoters, usually are large corporate, but also government-related companies. And through the project finance, we can finance. We can provide several instruments like long-term loan or export credit agency covered financing, construction facility, etc. The difference here you can see the pillars where we before from the European Commission presentation you saw the pillars. There are 4 pillars. Let's say the project finance covers these pillars, and the business venture debt covers the SMEs pillar. So let's say as LPST we are able to cover all the pillars of the InvestEU. And let's say the peculiarity of the project finance EIB compared to any other commercial bank is that we cannot finance fossil-related business. So we basically prefer to go into renewable energy, which is aligned to the climate action policy. Thanks to the InvestEU, we can get higher risk than any commercial bank, and of course, thanks to the InvestEU guarantee, we can afford much higher risk The rule of 50%, as my colleague explained before, it's applied also to venture debt, also to project finance, so we can finance 50% of the project cost. In the previous venture debt, the 50% has a threshold of 7.5. So with the venture debt, we can go from 15 to 40/50 million ticket size, which means that we can finance from 50 million project cost to 100 million project cost in 3 years. Here we have a minimum ticket size of 50 million, so we are slightly above the threshold of venture debt, up to 500 million or even 1 million if we find a good project. So it's a product that is more for a bigger project compared to the venture debt. This is the track record in 2021. They financed 1.9 billion, 20 projects. Also here, unfortunately, we financed in the, let's say, yet in Malta. These are the reference, the details of my colleague Ferran is not here. I would say this is a good introduction. Thanks a lot.
Now the term of Tanja TANAYAMA, Head of Division for the EIB Advisory Service.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to present also the advisory activities that EIB has to offer under the InvestEU program. My name is Tanja, and I'm heading the advisory hub division in the advisory services department in the EIB since April. And we are responsible for, in my team, responsible for managing the EIB advisory under the program. I try to give you now in a nutshell sort of an overview of the broad offer of advisory services that we have available, and hopefully I also have a bit of time to go through a couple of examples. There are also some nice examples from Malta what we have been doing before. But before going to the advisory services more in detail, maybe a couple of words about the context, especially in comparison to the predecessor of InvestEU, so the investment plan for Europe. In terms of the design, you already heard that the InvestEU program further consolidates different EU programs, and that way tries to simplify the structure and make it easier then for clients to understand what is offered. The same applies on the advisory side as well. So different programs like the EASY program, InnoTin and so forth are combined and translated now into these policy windows. On the advisory side, the policy window structure reflects very much what it is on the guarantee side with few adjustments. We'll get to that. And hopefully now this more sector-based or theme-based structure makes it easier to understand the available support and the key priorities of the program. Then in terms of the delivery mechanism, there is a couple of important changes compared to the EFSI Hub. So if under the EFSI Hub, so the investment plan for Europe, EIB was the only advisory partner to the Commission. We were managing all the advisory support delivered through that program. Now the InvestEU Advisory Hub is open to also other advisory partners. So EIB remains the main advisory partner. Up to 75% of the advisory budget is allocated to EIB, but there are also other advisory partners. And now also the entry point for all the advisory requests, that is no longer managed by the EIB. That is now managed by the Commission. So there is on the website, if you go to InvestEU program, there is a wizard through which you can then submit your advisory requests, and those go then to the Commission, who then allocates the request to different advisory partners. However, if you wish, you can of course indicate that EIB is is a prepared partner for the advisory services. I think it's also important to reflect a little bit on the context of the EU economy compared to the investment plan for Europe. So if you recall, when the investment plan for Europe was set up in 2014, the EU economy was in a very different situation. We were just recovering from the sovereign debt crisis. There was investment and competitiveness gap, high levels of public and private debt, financial and non-financial barriers to investment. So there was, in general, a need to try to increase investment. However, if we compare the situation today, already today you have heard several times green transition, digital transition, the need to further support building resilient Europe, and then now with the war in Ukraine to try to ensure the energy autonomy of the EU. So simplifying a little bit is with the investment plan for Europe, the idea was to try to generate more of the same, so to increase investment in general. Now there is clearly the need to try to scale up new types of investment. And that of course means that also the project promoters, when setting up these new projects, they will be facing new challenges and issues. And that makes advisory even more critical than it was before, and increases the need for advisory support in order to then have these new types of investments on the ground. Then to the EIB advisory offer. So we offer advisory services across all the different InvestEU windows. Here you have the 4 different windows under the InvestEU advisory hub. There is the sustainable infrastructure window, as it is also under the InvestEU guarantee side. But then the RID and SME windows are combined. Now I see that for some reason there are quite some parts missing on my slide, but they are supposed to be indeed nice pictures and everything, but I hope the key elements are there. Then we have the social and investment and skills window, and something then the 4th window is a specificity on the advisory side, cross-sectoral window. That covers different types of advisory services that sort of cut across the different key priority areas of the program. Then the green boxes under the windows are different advisory initiatives that EIB is delivering. The sustainable infrastructure window is divided into 2 different advisory initiatives. First one, building a sustainable Europe, focuses very much on sort of more traditional infrastructure sectors, sustainable transport, clean energy transition, environment and natural economy, bioeconomy, digital connectivity, and so forth. The second initiative, there is supposed to be ELENA logo. It was already mentioned that ELENA will continue also under the InvestEU program. So there will continue to be TA grants for renewable energy and energy efficiency available. Then the combined RID and SME window has 2 different advisory initiatives. The R&D part of it is focusing on improving access to finance for complex R&D projects and then newly established innovative companies. On the SME side, the focus is very much on capacity building and market development for intermediaries. So there the idea is to try to help intermediaries deploy, in particular, InvestEU financial products, and that way then improve access to finance for SMEs in different priority areas. This window also, if you're familiar with the previous Innovative program, Innovative is also embedded in this RID and SME window. Then the social investment and skills window is divided in 4 different advisory initiatives. First one is very much like the sustainable infrastructure window, where it focuses on different social sectors, social housing, health, education, long-term care, and so forth. Then there are three more dedicated smaller windows. These are very much much supporting EIF financial products. And this is a novelty under the InvestEU program. As you probably know, and what you will be hearing during the next presentation, is that EIF plays a critical role in implementing the InvestEU guarantee. And consequently, also the advice to support EIF financial products has been increased significantly compared to the EFSI hub. So there is support to impact investment, setting up and development of social outcome contracting, and then there are two smaller dedicated funds, which is more for financial intermediaries in the field of social and skills, and then education as well, and microfinance. The cross-sectoral windows, there has all these different transversal advisory services that we have to offer. There are two different initiatives related to circular cities, T3 and SETA. Advisory support for the public sector loan facility is also under the cross-sectoral window. And then there is specific budget also reserved for other types of advisory support, for example, gender issues and gender issues and supporting different equality approaches on gender. It's, for example, about taking gender into account in the planning of infrastructure projects. For example, Spain has quite interesting initiatives ongoing at the moment in that field. And then PPPs is also support to setting up and developing of PPPs is under the cross-sectoral window. So overall, quite a broad range of support across the different sectors and priority areas. There as well, I think that all the nice pictures on the scene. This is more about the different types of advisory that we are offering. And here as well, the idea is really to try to cover the whole project cycle. So we go from more upstream support to generating the enabling environment that is needed for the project to happen, to project preparation and then implementation. Under the InvestEU program, compared to what it was before, the clear focus is on project preparation support. So the idea is really, as was said before already, to try to develop a pipeline of good quality, eligible, bankable projects that can then be financed with the InvestEU guarantee products. However, it's good to keep in mind that advisory support is available also if the project is financed through other means, for example, EIB loan risk of lending. So it's not only limited to InvestEU financing. I think in general, it's quite a nice concept that the Commission together with the EIB has developed for advisory under the InvestEU program. So it offers an entry point, it covers all the critical areas of the InvestEU program, and the idea is really that the clients can, through this entry point, come with their need, and it's then for us to try to set up the different advisory packages that are needed to really make these investment projects happen and efficiently implemented. Then to conclude, a couple of examples. This is an example of a typical advisory assignment in the public sector. It's also in Malta, improving road safety in Malta. It's part of our safe transport advisory platform that will continue under the InvestEU program. There is supposed to be a beautiful picture of Kampala Junction in Malta. Kapara Junction. Unfortunately, since that I didn't download. Well, so in this assignment, we are supporting Transport Malta to further improve road safety in Malta. What we have done is that we've reviewed and done a gap analysis of the existing system for managing road safety. Then we've helped to develop the new framework for road safety rating assessment. And then this new framework has been piloted and it has been used for investment planning and prioritization. example, in the private sector, that also may have links to Malta. So this is about financial advisory to support innovative, newly established companies in the EU. Often these innovative companies, they are really key experts in the technologies that they are developing, but they tend to need some support in accessing finance, in particular when they reach the scale-up and growth phase. And this is a European innovator. It's developing drone-based air freight business model. It has already developed a prototype that has been certified. Commercial demonstration is in place, and now they are then planning for manufacturing and scale-up of the company, and that's where our financial advisors then step in. So they have been reviewing the investment proposal, they are providing feedback to the company on financing, structuring, issues and considerations. And overall, if then confirmed for EIB financing, they try to prepare the company for due diligence and that way speed up the process. This is then an example on the intermediary side. We have developed quite a nice online portal to support free investments of intermediaries. It covers 3 different components. There is what is called free eligibility checker. It's an online tool. Intermediaries can free of charge use it to assess the impact and compliance of investment projects with EIB eligibility criteria. There is also knowledge sharing library and then different e-learning modules to support free lending activities of intermediaries. Then, just to conclude, as we are now in the next presentation with EIF and EIF's financial products, this is then an example of a financial instrument implemented by EIF where we provided advisory support. It follows very much a similar structure as the free eligibility checker, so there is an online tool to support the financial intermediaries under this financial instrument. And in addition, it's combined then with bilateral advisory support to the financial intermediaries, training, project development support, and so forth. Maybe I leave it at that, and now it's going to move then to EIF next. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanja. And we will make sure that once we upload the presentation onto the EIB website, we will have the right pictures and apologies for that again. And now the turn of Alfio Lo Castro, EIF Regional Mandates Manager, who will give a presentation about the EIF debt equity products and capacity building and advisory zone.
Good morning everyone. So I think it's the last presentation. I think I hope that I will keep you check your financial meeting. My name is Alfio Lo Castro. I'm a regional mandates manager for EIF. I'm part of the mandate management team in charge of financial instruments and debt financial instruments for Western Europe, in particular Malta. So in Malta, I see also a lot of familiar faces from financial intermediary here. We have developed with the United Managing Authority some very successful financial instruments for SMEs. The first one was Jeremy during the program period 2007-2013. This was followed by the SME initiative Malta that is also very successful and also implemented with senior loan. And last but not least, also we have developed an instrument that is targeting energy efficiency together with the technical assistance that has been mentioned before for the benefit of private households and corporates in Malta. EIF, so it's the European Investment Fund. We are part of the EIB Group. Our main shareholder is EIB at 60%, 40%. Commission is the second shareholder at 30%. And we have also some international financial institution part of our equity capital. Yesterday also I participated to a presentation at the central bank, and we were also talking about the fact that Europe has faced a lot of shocks, and we went through, let's say, the sovereign debt shock, through the COVID shock, to the now the Ukraine war, which has also a financial impact on everyone. And I think that financial instruments, like guarantee instruments, are very useful to support the economy, and they have been a kind of support or to policymaker to help their economies by reducing the collateral requirements on the part of the SME, reducing the pricing also of financing. EIF is managing mandates, so we select financial intermediary with the resources that are interested to us. And InvestEU is now the new flagship mandate for the next programming period. So as you can see, the Commission has entrusted to EIF a guarantee of 11 billion. EIF works with two types of products, so the first part with the guarantee or counter-guarantee, and secondly, the equity part. Also, in the next generation of product, we are becoming more thematic, and in line with what has been mentioned by Commission, we target competitiveness, digitalization, climate change, and social. We work with a range of let's say intermediaries on the bank, on the guarantee side, it's bank or non-banks. On the non-banks, we have also like a banking platform, and on the private side, it's mainly funds, debt funds, climate funds, social impact. Generally, with the resources that are interested through guarantee, we try to reach the final recipient with a certain effect of leverage. So the estimated leverage on this operation is 13 to reach like an investment of 145 million. So as mentioned, EIF is becoming more and more thematic, in line with the requirements of the Commission. And for each, let's say, thematic, we have dedicated products to answer, let's say, the gap. These are the palette of solutions for equity products. To be mentioned that for the equity, we have 6 billion of euro allocated to it. This including also the contribution from EIF, because as implementing partner through Commission, EIF also has to put some own resources into the investments. Together with the different projects, we have also some policy goals that need to be pursued. So, for instance, female representation is one of them, where basically we need to invest in companies where female representation to corporate governance is also ensured. Innovation, of course, sustain also IPO, post-IPO and pre-IPO company, promote the business engine and also the tech transfer. Last but not least, on the 6 billion that I have mentioned on the equity side, there will be 3.5 billion allocated to a climate infrastructure fund. This is new for EIF, but there is a strong focus. So out of the 6 billion, 3.5 billion will be allocated to the infrastructure funds. On the guarantee side, can already apply to, let's say, to guarantee. The code is published on our website. Intermediaries can choose apply for a single guarantee and choose different thematic. It's up to let's say your capacity and what you can do in terms of different thematics and eligible criteria that are mentioned and attached to each thematic. On EIF, as I said, we work with CAP and uncapped guarantee. We have also different guarantee rates and cap rates where available for the cap on different products. What has to be noted is that all the, let's say, the guarantee schemes that we have were already existing in the previous programming period. Inofin, Cosme, SME competitiveness is let's say the son of Cosme. Innovation and digitalization is Inofin. Cultural and creative was already there with CCS, and micro-social and entrepreneurship and skills and education were there also through the EASY program and Erasmus. The only new instrument is the one of sustainability. I think also a lot has been done with EIB to develop, let's say, the capacity building on that aspect in the green chapter online too. But all in all, these guarantee instruments were in place in the past. What you can see also is that they have higher risk coverage, so guarantee rate has increased. That's a new feature. Same for the cap rates that are proposed at central mobilise level. What I want to say also is that when Commission mentioned the possibility to top up existing instrument or increase the firepower of EIF financial instrument, there is a possibility also for member states to contribute to InvestEU through what they call member state dedicated compartment. What has been mentioned is that Romania or Finland, Czech Republic have opted for that. For the time being, we have no indication on the Maltese, but if they are mentioning it in the partnership agreement with the Commission, then also there could be also some extra budget that could top up the product of InvestEU with resources from the structural funds of the Maltese member states. So here also is the comparison between product and the target final recipient that we have with the limit of the underlying loans that are for each product, as well as the different maturity. But again, those elements are quite in line with what we have in the past also. Here you have the split of the guarantee agreements by Thematic, and the split also between guarantees and equity. And on top of that, the additional support that product will receive through the advisory support and capacity building. So to apply to a transaction, you need to go on the EIF website. The call is published. You can review the document called also EIF. I know that it's a process that most of you who are present in the room have went through. As I said, there could be a streamlined approach in the sense that you can apply for a single product, like I apply for a cap guarantee to cover based on your capacity to allocate the budget to these thematics, and there will be a single operational agreement between the financial intermediary implementing InvestEU and the EIB. If you opt for two different products, then it means also two distinct operational agreements. So if you apply for cap and cap, there will be the contract for the cap and the contract for the cap. Again, the same, you can choose the thematics that you could deploy based on your past track record. Apart from that, I think that I have finished the presentation. And if you have any question, I can take that.
Thank you, Alfio. So we are now at the end of the InvestEU Roadshow in Malta. If you have any questions about any of the presentation, feel free to ask them now, or otherwise send us an email and we will reply to you. As mentioned before. Okay, we have a question over there.
It's not just a small question on the advisory hub. There's a lot of advice that could be given to potential SMEs. Is there a minimum threshold that you're looking at as an investment or cycle company that could submit this request in the portal?
I think on the package for the guarantee, it's not, it's a support to the financial intermediary that we've been supporting. But in line also with what we have developed for Renata, I think the technical assistance is a bit different, but for instance, if you choose for a green product, you will have this online tool that is inspired from Malta, but it's the green checker, and then there could be a capacity building at the level of the financial intermediary.
I was thinking more beyond financial intermediary, as in what would be the minimum size? Obviously, you could have an SME that has a great project like the example you presented earlier, and it would be a very small investment. So would that be something that would fall under the advisory hub, or does it need to be of a certain size?
There is no hard threshold, but around 15, 20 million, I would say, is probably when we provide direct advisory support, but then indeed, as was explained, to SMEs and small projects is via the intermediaries. So we provide capacity building to the intermediary, and we can, as part of that, we can also then train the intermediary to give some support to SMEs as well, but it happens all through the intermediary.
So if it doesn't go through the intermediary, then you're looking at a minimum investment size of around 15 to 20 million.
Roughly.
Question for the gentleman.
Hi, Silvio from the Motor Development Bank. I have a question on the green eligibility checker. To what extent is this aligned with the sustainability proofing and climate tracking on the InvestEU? This topic was largely absent from today's conversation. And additional to this, recently the Ferran published its consultation period for the European Sustainability Reporting Standards came to an end. To what extent will these standards be aligned with the InvestEU? From our understanding is that the disclosure requirements will be very, very onerous to businesses, and we're quite not sure whether this will be adopted in part or in full, and to what effect this will have an impact on the InvestEU overall.
I think on the InvestEU, it probably would be Commission better place to reply how they want to reflect on the InvestEU eligibility, these kind of criteria as the Commission is designing.
So
With the help of others, but on the green eligibility checker, that focuses on EIB eligibilities.
yes, so it's not aligned with any other.
Well, of course, I mean, as being an EU institution, the aim is to align with the different EU standards as well. I'm not a climate expert as such, but my understanding is that at the EIB we do apply maybe sometimes even a bit stronger standards or higher standards than, for example, the EU taxonomy. But indeed, of course, the objective is to align with the different EU standards, being an EU bank. But the focus is on EIB eligibilities and trying to support financial intermediaries to then
Hi, it's Joe from the Model Development Bank. A question about the member state compartment. This morning there was a presentation and this feature was mentioned. It's an interesting feature that InvestEU offers. My question is that if the structural funds from the operational program are allocated to a member state compartment operation under InvestEU, would this require an ex-ante assessment in the same way as, as financial instruments under structural funds would require an ex-ante assessment to identify the gaps, the investment strategy, and then they would be allocated to a financial instrument? Is this requirement the same for if this allocation of funds falls under one of the windows of InvestEU, develop a financial instrument under InvestEU?
Yeah, on the advisory side there is.
No, the advisory side, no. It goes to just an additional budget under the InvestEU advisory hub that is then dedicated to specific types of activities in the country.
In terms of the instrument?
But then
In terms of the instrument, basically, the modality will be defined with the managing authority. What happens is that the managing authority will enter into a contribution agreement with the Commission, and Commission then will enter into a guarantee agreement with the implementing partner. In that case, it will be the EIB Group. But the example is done at the level of the managing authority in the member states. They allocate a budget based on what policymakers can allocate to the instrument. There is a certain threshold that can be allocated on the operational program, so it's up to 5% of the operational program of the member states.
And let's say the operational program at one point would not have this allocation within. And then 2 years down the line, the managing authority would decide to make this allocation of funds due to new market gaps that arise or for other reasons. Is this possible?
No. When basically the amount is decided when at the level of the operational program for the member state compartment. The contribution agreement is based on the fact that the managing authority could have mentioned in their partnership agreement that they would do an MS compartment. The maximum amount that can be allocated to that is 5%. It's it should be mentioned now. So if they have not mentioned in the partnership agreement the possibility to do an MS compartment, there will be no MS compartment, and then their structural funds will be used to do tailor-made financial instruments like what the managing authority has done in the past. But at least they have included in the partnership agreement the possibility to do an MS compartment. They have the possibility to contribute up to 5% of their contribution. Or I think there is a threshold of up to 2% until the end of 2023, and they can free up the additional 3% later on. But that's basically the process inside the possibility of creating an InvestEU MS compartment.
However, your colleague was mentioning intermediaries, so someone's interested in getting hold of these advisory services, they would have to work through the intermediaries. In this case, are they related to the managing authority, or are they other bodies?
The technical assistance, we were referring to the technical assistance, I didn't.
Yes.
So the technical assistance basically is something that is provided in the case of InvestEU through what has been mentioned by EIB or some, let's say, advisory platforms, and the managing authority has nothing to do with that. So basically, the technical assistance will support the capacity building of financial intermediaries. But at the level of InvestEU, it's something that is coming with financial instruments alongside the advisory Go ahead. This is the right time to ask questions, as we are all the experts in the room.
Again, regards the member state compartment, my understanding is that the provisioning rate of InvestEU in total is around 40%. So we have 40% provisioning, then the guarantees built on that, and then the leveraging of the private sector. If there is an allocation of member state compartment funds from the structural fund, would that be subject to the same provisioning rate, or would it depend on an operation by operation based on the risk of that operation?
Then I think that when this will happen, we need to see what the managing authority will apply for certain managing authority. They apply only for the business. Some of them apply for different products. Then there will be like a market testing on what can be done on market basically.
So the provisioning rate will be calibrated according to the operation.
Yeah. Okay.
Questions? When you refer to the venture debt instrument, can you mention examples of what sort of participation the EIB can that be through direct access by the entity to the EIB, or again through some intermediary or some fund?
No, we are as a direct investor, so we are not. We don't have the approach of EIB. EIB is a funds of funds, so they invest in funds, and through the funds they invest in final beneficiaries. We invest directly in final beneficiaries. So our partner. So first of all, we provide loans with warrants, but the warrants does not give any right to vote in the shareholders meeting, etc. So we don't want to be. So we have warrants. We don't want to be shareholders. Basically, our goal is not to convert the warrants into shares. So our partners, yes, our partners, shareholders. Again, usually can be VC. I hope that I'm answering to your question. But of course, if there is an entity, a corporate, it's possible. But you need to set up a governance. For example, in the shareholder agreement, we want to see tag-along rights, drag-along rights, veto rights from the minority shareholders. So we cannot invest in a private-owned company where the entrepreneur has an infinitive exit horizon because the warrants has time limit, and we at the end we are providing money for 5/8 years no more. So our goal is to support the company to grow and to go public or to be sold or I don't know to be independent and go out. In that case, it's important because InvestEU through the SME definition of the European Commission give us some constraints. So the small cap is defined, especially in the InvestEU, as a company with less 250 full-time equivalent, and the full-time equivalent is based on a consolidation basis. So if we have in a startup more than 50% shareholder stake from the corporate, the large corporate, we need to take into account also the full-time equivalent in the large corporate. That's why most of the time they are not eligible for us.
Well, if it's an entity, let's say, is looking for additional capital, instead of opting to go to the capital market and can it come directly?
Absolutely, yes. Again, it depends how much, how is we call the skin in the game, no? Because if the entity put 2 million in this company, our minimum threshold is 7.5, it doesn't work for us. Unless the company is already a break-even, they're already providing cash flows, positive cash flows. Okay, in that case it's borderline, because in that case it's better you go to our colleagues on the corporate lending. Because we are expensive. Our target is 15% a year. But if the entity put, I don't know, at least 10 million, 7.5, even I work also on company who raised 6 million, for example, but with good potential growth. In that case, we finance 7.7, also 10 million. Now I'm appraising an Italian company which raised 7.4, is going to raise other 15, 20 maybe in 2023, and we are providing 15 million. So,
and they expected to do this 15%.
Yeah, but this is a target valuation. Again, we structured this with 0% interest, warrant at, I don't know, 8-9% of shareholder capital. At the end, we didn't get anything
unfortunately we need to write down our investment. The 15% is a target IRR. But we want to be aligned in terms of risk aversion with the current shareholders or the future shareholders. So we don't want to. We are preferred because we are alone, so we have a maturity compared to the equity. But in terms of warrants, we participate alongside the risk of the shareholder.
Do we have more questions? Okay, so thank you very much for being here today, and don't hesitate to contact us in case you have